Hey, welcome back to Switch Top. 2026 is shaping up to be an incredible year for the Nintendo Switch, with some seriously exciting games on the horizon. Today, we're counting down the top 15 new games you need to keep on your radar. These are titles that are pushing the Switch to new limits and bringing fresh experiences to Nintendo's beloved console. Let's jump right in. R-Type Delta HD Boosted brings one of the most distinctive classic shoot-'em-ups to Nintendo Switch with modern refinements that respect its original design. The game stays true to its horizontal, precision-focused gameplay, where success depends on positioning, timing, and deep knowledge of enemy patterns. Central to everything is the Force system, an attachable orb that can be locked to the front or rear of your ship or launched freely, acting as both a shield and an offensive tool. Each playable ship alters how the Force behaves, encouraging different playstyles and strategies. Absorbing enemy fire charges powerful Delta attacks that can clear the screen, creating tense risk-reward decisions during heavy encounters. Visually, the HD presentation sharpens the original polygonal environments and biomechanical enemies, while preserving the dark sci-fi atmosphere the series is known for, supported by an eerie, remastered soundtrack that enhances the sense of isolation and danger. The story is delivered subtly through stage design and progression, placing you in a desperate human counterattack against the relentless Bido threat and a corrupted superweapon spiraling out of control. Escape from Ever After is a story-driven RPG that blends classic turn-based combat with interactive timing mechanics, giving battles a more hands-on feel without losing their strategic depth. Attacks and defenses reward well-timed button presses, encouraging focus and skill rather than pure menu selection. You play as Flint Buckler, a fairy tale hero whose simple quest takes a sharp turn when he discovers that the dragon's castle has been transformed into a soulless corporate empire exploiting storybook worlds for profit. Instead of fighting from the outside, Flint infiltrates the system, teaming up with quirky allies and co-workers as he navigates bizarre office politics and twisted fantasy environments. Exploration mixes traditional RPG overworlds with puzzle-filled areas, optional side content, and secrets that flesh out both the world and its characters. The game's writing leans heavily into humor and satire, poking fun at corporate culture while still delivering emotional character moments and meaningful progression. Each new area introduces fresh mechanics, enemies, and boss encounters that push players to experiment with party synergy and abilities. The Rogue Prince of Persia reimagines the legendary series as a fast-paced, 2D action roguelike built around fluid movement, precision combat, and constant forward momentum. Gameplay places heavy emphasis on parkour, letting you chain wall runs, jumps, slides, and acrobatic flips while seamlessly transitioning into combat. Battles are aggressive and kinetic, encouraging smart positioning, enemy juggling, and environmental awareness rather than simple button mashing. Each run takes place across shifting, semi-procedural stages, filled with traps, hazards, and tightly designed encounters that test both reflexes and adaptability. Death is part of the loop, sending you back stronger through permanent upgrades, new abilities, and gear that gradually reshape how the prince plays. Narratively, the game centers on a magical time loop that allows the prince to cheat death while defending Persia from an overwhelming invasion, learning more about the conflict with each failed attempt. Story elements unfold naturally between runs, reinforcing the theme of persistence and mastery. The stylized art direction delivers smooth, expressive animation that highlights movement and combat clarity, while the soundtrack supports the game's relentless rhythm. Terminator 2D No Fate is a classic-inspired 2D action game that blends run-and-gun shooting with beat-em-up combat, delivering a fast and relentless arcade-style experience on Nintendo Switch. Gameplay is built around tight, side-scrolling stages where positioning, reflexes, and weapon choice matter as much as raw firepower. Players take control of multiple characters from the Terminator universe, including Sarah Connor, John Connor, and the T-800, each offering slightly different combat approaches as you fight through both present-day locations and grim future war zones. Combat mixes firearms, close-range attacks, evasive movement, and environmental hazards, while select moments introduce vehicle chases and light stealth elements to vary the pacing. Levels are designed for replayability, featuring branching paths, score-based challenges, and escalating enemy waves that reward mastery and precision. The story reimagines key moments from Terminator 2, while expanding the narrative with new scenarios and alternate outcomes, reinforcing the theme that fate is not fixed and can be changed through player choices. Popucom is a colorful, cooperative action-adventure that blends platforming, light combat, and puzzle solving into a tightly teamwork-focused experience on Nintendo Switch. The game is designed around cooperation, with players exploring vibrant 3D environments where communication and coordination are essential to progress. Core mechanics revolve around color switching and color matching actions, allowing players to change colors and fire gel-like projectiles that interact with enemies and the environment. Matching colors is key to defeating foes, activating switches, clearing obstacles, and solving layered environmental puzzles that often require precise timing between teammates. Platforming challenges emphasize shared movement, gadget usage, and creative problem solving, with tools like shields, bombs, and helper devices adding flexibility to how encounters are approached. The adventure unfolds across imaginative alien worlds filled with hazards, secrets, and increasingly complex challenges that steadily expand the game's mechanical depth. Marvel Cosmic Invasion is a classic-style, side-scrolling beat-em-up that brings together a wide roster of Marvel heroes for fast, cooperative brawling on Nintendo Switch. Gameplay follows a familiar arcade rhythm, pushing players through enemy-filled stages where crowd control, spacing, and combo timing are key to survival. Each hero comes with a distinct moveset, special attacks, and defensive options that reflect their powers and personality, encouraging experimentation and smart team composition. A standout feature is the Cosmic Swap system, which lets you choose two heroes and switch between them instantly during combat, opening the door to extended combos, tactical escapes, and creative synergies mid-fight. Levels mix constant action with environmental hazards, branching paths, and hidden collectibles that reward replay and exploration. The story frames the action around a large-scale cosmic threat, forcing heroes from both Earth and outer space to unite against an overwhelming invasion that spans city streets, alien worlds, and strange dimensions. Narrative moments are delivered through comic-inspired cutscenes that maintain pacing without slowing the action.
Not yet. Requesting Nova Force support. Photon charges are low. Photon charges are low. I'm on a streak.
The Legend of Heroes Trails Beyond the Horizon is a large-scale JRPG that continues the series' tradition of deep world-building, slow-burn storytelling, and layered combat systems on Nintendo Switch. Set in the Calvard Republic, the game follows multiple protagonists whose personal stories intersect amid political tension, rapid technological change, and long-buried mysteries threatening the balance of the region. Exploration is methodical and rewarding, with detailed cities, open-field areas, and dungeons packed with side quests, character moments, and lore that give weight to even minor interactions. Combat evolves the Trails formula by blending real-time field encounters with tactical, turn-based battles, emphasizing positioning, turn order control, and coordinated party actions. New systems, such as enhanced command abilities, temporary power awakenings, and zone-based effects add fresh strategic layers, while keeping fights readable and deliberate rather than overwhelming. Character progression is deep and flexible, allowing players to customize skills, equipment, and party roles to suit different combat scenarios.
Keep your distance as you're attacking.
There! This'll suck!
Show us what you're capable of.
Next!
Cozy Caravan is a gentle, life simulation adventure built around travel, creativity, and meaningful interactions, offering a relaxed experience on Nintendo Switch. You play as a customizable animal traveler, journeying across a charming countryside in a worn but lovable caravan, accompanied by a loyal companion. Gameplay focuses on exploring small towns, meeting quirky locals, and completing heartfelt requests that naturally guide you from one destination to the next. Gathering ingredients and materials feeds into hands-on crafting and cooking minigames, where you prepare meals, baked goods, and handmade items to trade or sell at village markets. Progression is tied to helping others, with completed tasks earning hearts that can be used to upgrade your caravan, unlock new recipes, expand crafting options, and open access to new regions. Time moves at a calm, forgiving pace, encouraging thoughtful planning without pressure or failure states. Narrative elements emerge through recurring characters, chain quests, and small community stories that emphasize kindness and connection rather than conflict. Neon Inferno is a high-intensity 2D action shooter that blends classic run-and-gun gameplay with layered shooting mechanics for a distinctive arcade-style experience on Nintendo Switch. Set in a gritty cyberpunk city drenched in neon lights, the game constantly pushes players to stay alert by attacking from both the foreground and background, forcing quick target prioritization and sharp reflexes. Movement is fast and responsive, built around running, jumping, dodging, and aerial control, while combat mixes rapid gunfire with close-range melee options. A standout mechanic allows players to deflect or counter certain projectiles using a plasma blade, creating brief, slow-motion moments that reward precise timing and aggressive play. You can choose between two protagonists, each fighting through districts controlled by violent gangs, corrupt authorities, and rogue factions that dominate the city's underworld. Levels are densely packed with enemies, traps, and environmental hazards, leading into large, multi-phase boss fights that demand pattern recognition and adaptability. Progression includes upgrades that subtly reshape combat flow and survivability without overcomplicating the core loop. Dragon Quest VII Reimagined is a modern reworking of a classic JRPG that preserves the heart of the original while refining its systems for a smoother experience on Nintendo Switch. The adventure is built around traditional turn-based combat, but introduces several quality-of-life improvements that keep battles flowing, including visible enemies in the field, faster battle pacing, and streamlined handling of weaker encounters. Exploration remains a major focus, sending players across a world of islands and regions connected by ancient mysteries and self-contained story arcs that gradually weave into a larger narrative. A refreshed visual style presents environments as detailed, handcrafted dioramas, giving towns, dungeons, and landscapes a charming storybook atmosphere. Character progression is driven by an expanded vocation system that encourages experimentation, allowing party members to combine abilities and skills to create flexible roles suited to different challenges. The story unfolds through smaller, emotionally grounded tales centered on loss, hope, and restoration, building a strong sense of purpose as forgotten lands are brought back to life. Octopath Traveler 0 reworks the familiar HD 2D formula into a more unified and systems-driven JRPG experience on Nintendo Switch. Instead of following separate origin stories, the journey begins with a customizable protagonist whose life is shattered by the destruction of their hometown, setting the stage for a long narrative centered on loss, rebuilding, and purpose. Exploration spans classic overworld routes, towns, and dungeons, but progression is closely tied to restoring and developing a central settlement that grows alongside the story. Town building becomes a meaningful mechanic, letting players play structures, unlock services, and gain combat and exploration benefits that feed back into the core loop. Combat retains the series' signature turn-based flow with break and boost mechanics, but expands tactical depth through larger party compositions and dynamic front and backline positioning that reward careful planning and turn management. Recruiting companions adds flexibility, with each character contributing unique skills both in battle and during town development. The narrative unfolds gradually through character-driven moments and larger mythic threats, maintaining a steady pace that favors world-building over spectacle.
I must, for the people's sake. Here goes nothing! Works like a charm! Let me!
Mio, Memories in Orbit is an atmospheric action-adventure that blends classic Metroidvania design with fluid movement and deliberate combat on Nintendo Switch. You play as Mio, a nimble android exploring the vessel, a massive derelict space structure slowly being consumed by wild vegetation and corrupted machines. Exploration is tightly interconnected, encouraging players to learn the layout of the ship while unlocking new traversal abilities that open hidden routes, shortcuts, and optional challenges. Movement feels central to the experience, with smooth jumps, dashes, grappling mechanics, and momentum-based platforming that reward precision and mastery. Combat is fast but thoughtful, pushing players to read enemy patterns, manage spacing, and adapt their growing set of tools to different threats, rather than relying on raw damage. Boss encounters act as major skill checks, combining environmental awareness with mastery of newly acquired abilities. Storytelling is subtle and environmental, delivered through visual details, scattered data logs, and encounters with remnants of the vessel's old systems, allowing players to piece together what happened at their own pace. Ball X Pit is a fast-paced roguelite that combines classic brick-breaking physics with survival combat and long-term progression on Nintendo Switch. Gameplay centers on descending into a massive vertical pit where waves of enemies advance from above, forcing you to aim and launch bouncing balls with precision to keep threats at bay. Each ball behaves differently, ricocheting through enemies and terrain, turning positioning and angles into key survival tools rather than simple reflex shooting. As runs progress, defeated enemies drop experience that unlocks new ball types, passive upgrades, and modifiers mid-run, constantly reshaping your build. A standout system allows balls to be fused and evolved, creating powerful hybrids with unique effects that encourage experimentation and risk-taking during each descent. Boss encounters and escalating enemy patterns push players to fully understand their chosen synergies rather than relying on raw stats. Outside the pit, progression continues in a hub settlement, where collected resources are used to rebuild structures, unlock permanent upgrades, and recruit new characters with distinct traits that influence future runs. Demonschool is a stylish tactical RPG that blends turn-based strategy with life sim elements, creating a rhythm that balances everyday routines and supernatural danger on Nintendo Switch. You play as Faye, a college student attending a remote island school where demons quietly threaten reality beneath normal campus life. Outside of combat, gameplay revolves around managing a weekly schedule that includes attending classes, exploring the island, completing side quests, and forming relationships with classmates. These social bonds matter as they directly influence combat effectiveness, character abilities, and narrative development. Battles take place on grid-based arenas, but strategy is driven heavily by movement and positioning rather than traditional attack menus. During a planning phase, players can freely experiment with movement paths, push enemies, line up allies, and even rewind actions before committing, allowing fights to feel more like carefully planned choreography than rigid turn exchanges. Once executed, all actions resolve simultaneously, rewarding foresight and creative setups. Combat emphasizes combo chains, environmental interactions, and team synergy over raw damage numbers. Absolum is a fast, stylish action game that blends classic side-scrolling beat-em-up combat with modern roguelite progression on Nintendo Switch. Set in the dark fantasy world of Talum, the story follows a rebellion against the oppressive Sun King Azra and his fanatical Crimson Order, giving context to the constant forward push of combat and exploration. Gameplay is built around tight, responsive melee action, featuring light and heavy attacks, dodges, counters, and combo strings that reward precision and timing rather than button mashing. Each run introduces meaningful variation through rituals, which act as powerful modifiers that alter attacks, elemental effects, and defensive options, forcing players to adapt their playstyle on the fly. Additional active abilities, known as inspirations, further expand combat depth and encourage experimentation with different builds. The game features multiple playable characters, each with a distinct fighting style ranging from heavy, deliberate strikes to agile, fast-paced attacks and magic-focused approaches. Level paths branch and remix between runs, keeping encounters unpredictable and replayable. And there's our top 15 new Nintendo Switch games you must try in 2026. From intense shooters to cozy adventures and everything in between, this year is packed with incredible experiences coming to the Switch. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button and subscribe to Switch Top for more Nintendo Switch coverage. Until next time.